Hello, everybody. I am so excited. Today, I have a very special guest. My dear friend Shelby is here with us today. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to have a great chat with one of my dearest friends. And all of you too.
Oh, right back at you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am the director of marketing and brand development for Dakota Biotech. We actually specialize in creating healthy microbiomes. And the biome that we're really working on, microbiome we're working on right now, is the skin microbiome. The skin obviously is your largest organ, so it's pretty important. And I'm really excited about it because our bodies do amazing things, especially when we support them.
Our largest organ. I love that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we think a lot about what we put in our bodies, but we don't think a lot about what we put on our bodies. And as I've delved into this position, I've realized that even vegan skincare isn't always safe skincare. And that's something I hope we get to discuss a little bit today in our chat.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about that. For me, anything vegan is good and happy and a great place to be. So yeah, tell us.
So in my adventures thus far, one of the things I've discovered is that there are dirty ingredients. Unfortunately, in the United States, there's no cosmetic regulatory system. So people can really do willy-nilly on what they're putting in and on their product or in their products. So there is considered to be a dirty dozen, but there's a whole lot more than that dirty dozen. But the big ones I look for are the top three. So there is something called EDTA. Sometimes it's called disodium EDTA when you're looking at your ingredients. This one is actually synthesized from multiple of things, but it also includes cyanide and formaldehyde because it's ultimately trying to preserve it and keep your products fresh. But this ingredient also is a part of what makes things absorb into your skin. So when there's other potential harmful ingredients in your products, it's making that be pulled in. And then you're absorbing it and putting it into your system. So there could be heavy metals in your product and you have no idea. There could be parabens. I think most of us probably look for paraben free now. There's a lot of awareness on that. And in Europe, it's parts of Europe and Australia, this ingredient's banned. So unfortunately, the US always seems to be a little bit behind on that one. Then there's another one called PEGs. This one probably scares me the most, especially when we're thinking about how our digestive system works. A lot of people have IBS or real sensitivities to wheat, gluten, dairy, those types of pieces. Obviously with vegan, we don't do that. But this product, which is a thickener and a solvent, when it's used in the pharmaceutical world, it's used as a laxative. So if you have PEGs in your products, that could be why you're having a lot of potty adventures recently.
Wow.
Right? That just really shocked me, to realizing okay, this is something that I thought was safe. It says it's vegan, it's, cruelty-free, it's plant-based, but then there's also an ingredient in it that could be causing my family to have digestive issues.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing with this is that if it contains both EDTA and PEGs, that scares me more. And I'm just putting my notes here because it's something I really wanted to make sure we talked about, is that PEGs also have carcinogens in it. So if you have EDTA and it's pulling those carcinogens into your body from the PEGs, you're ultimately poisoning your systems.
Wow. Mind blown.
Yeah, it really makes me kind of sad. And there's been studies out there that show that PEGs alone can impact things like human development and the nervous system. We have a rise in autoimmune diseases, which a lot of times it's an overactive nervous system. And to think that it could be just because you're putting an ingredient on your body that you didn't know was harmful.
Yeah, because I wouldn't even think that things get absorbed that way, but of course it does.
Yeah, your skin breathes. I like to think of it too like coral. So coral, when you look at them and you watch them, they have these little holes everywhere, right? But then you see these little pieces of animal coming out, and that absorbs and brings the whatever they're eating into the body. The skin basically does the same thing. So you have all these pores, it's absorbing all the lovely, wonderful things that you're putting on your body, but it also is being impacted by your environment. So depending on how healthy your skin microbiome is, it actually impacts your immunity overall.
Wow.
Yeah. Another one too is like glycols. Glycols, they function as a penetration enhancer, but there's a lot of allergic reactions to that one. So glycol is another one that I typically try to ignore. And then the last one of the top 4 that I've really been looking at personally right now is fragrance. Fragrance in the cosmetic skincare world is a loophole. It can basically be anything. And because it's considered to be a proprietary blend, they don't have to disclose what it is. So always looking for fragrance-free products is important. Obviously, it depends on how you feel about essential oils, but essential oils is typically where I go if I'm going to look for a fragrance in a product. It's a little bit safer.
That's so interesting because that's what they do in food too. That the loophole with food is the natural flavor, which can be a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's kind of icky to think about that too. Those loopholes.
It sounds good, right?
Yeah. Oh, natural flavors. It must be good. Oh, natural fragrance. Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough one. But I'm finding too that the more we recognize, we have a lot of understanding of how our gut microbiome works, especially being conscious about what we're putting in our bodies. And if we think about the same thing with our skin microbiome, what ingredients we're putting on our body, and then how we're supporting that. So our company specifically has a patent on live probiotics, and we have 2 skincare lines. We have LaFleur Live Probiotic Skincare, made for women. We also have a professional extension of that. So if you're one of those that love a good facial, that's a great facial for you. And then we have Live PS for our slightly younger demographic. I know my daughter loves it. My son loves that one as well. And just like you take gut microbiome, I'm so excited right now. Just like we take probiotics for the gut, right? To help support that microbiome. You can put probiotics on your face and on your skin to support that because it makes it a little bit stronger. A lot of times when we see things like acne, redness, even aging, it's a sign of the breakdown of that microbiome. And when you're able to put in more beneficial bacteria onto your face and into your skin, then you have a healthier, happier microbiome that can fight off pathogens, help with UV damage, all these other things that we, can't help but be impacted by.
Wow. Yeah, I would love it if you could send me the 3 things that you mentioned to look out for, and I would be
absolutely
happy to put them in the description of this video, so
Absolutely. I'll send you the list of the dirty dozen for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because it's pretty shocking.
Yeah, you don't really think about it. And that's the thing too, that look at me like 10 years ago when I was smoking, I was drinking, I was eating just omnivorous junk food, just wasn't aware. And then we just start peeling like little layers. I took away the smoking first, then the alcohol, and then started looking at the food. And this just feels like the natural next step. It's just like there's always more. There's so much more we can do. But if I would have asked myself 10 years ago, it would have seemed a little bit overwhelming, all the things that but absolutely. I wasn't open to it either, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm killing myself anyway with these cigarettes, and life is not worth living without cigarettes. That's seriously what I thought. And I'm so glad that I just overcame that worldview. Like, I feel like I've really been just brainwashed when it came to that. So
yeah, well, I think, being in the marketing industry, we're really good at making people feel bad about themselves, unfortunately. I mean, that's kind of what where we poke holes in enoughness. And that's one of the things that I love about being in biotech, is that really what we're sharing is that you have the power to do everything that your body needs it to do. Like, it's a perfect machine if you support it correctly.
Mm.
And by recognizing that like topical probiotics don't heal you, they allow your body to do what it's supposed to do. It
Right.
helps it get out of that constant stress cycle and into the cycle of mending and thriving on a natural cycle. You know, the 27 days that we typically have new skin, then every 27 days you feel healthier, more youthful, stronger, your immunity increases just by this one little extra step. It's like constant love notes to yourself, if that makes any
Mm.
sense.
Oh, I
I
love
think
that.
that's the same thing with food, is that whether we're ready to talk about it or be open about it with ourselves and be honest of like, why am I eating this? Why am I wearing this? Why am I sitting in this space? Why am I putting this on my skin? Why is it really hard to answer sometimes?
Mm.
But when you get that clarity, you can't go back. It's
Mm.
like it's finding another piece of yourself, and that's what I love about what I do. You know, before this, I was in the CBD industry, and obviously that had a lot of hype. There was a lot of misconceptions, and I was really trying to be there to talk about the fact that this isn't healing you. You have an endocannabinoid system. You're adding cannabinoids back into it to be able to support what that system needs. This is the same thing. So by adding live probiotics to your skin, you're giving your skin more beneficial bacteria than what it has right now. So there was like a study done in the 70s, and they found that you were actually like, they took all the cells in the body, right? And they counted them all, and they discovered that you were more bacteria cells than you were human cells, which just like blows my mind to think about. Okay, well, I guess that means that we are a walking universe, right? We're a walking universe of bacteria with some human cells added in. Now they did this study just, I think it was 2018, and they discovered that, that's not the case. We've lost 30% of those bacteria cells since 1970s. So think about our generation, how healthy we are, and then think about our kids and that our kids' generation. There's so much more food allergies, sensitivities, sensory issues, all these components that I can't help but wonder, is that because we've lost a part of ourselves? So by going back and adding in something that already exists, just pumping it up, makes a lot of sense to me. Because we really are enough. We just need a little extra support and letting our bodies do what they're supposed to do, because we are so dynamic.
Wow, that is mind-blowing.
Mm.
And it also makes me think of just how forgiving our bodies are. I love that you're saying that the skin rejuvenates in 27 days. So and I smoked for almost 20 years, I think, 15 to 35. And my body like had to work really hard during those years. And it still did it though. I mean, they're pretty amazing vessels we have, but certainly we don't need to go to war with ourselves, we could help them instead.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we're so quick to do that. And how I wonder a lot too, like having children, how do I help them not do that on a daily basis? When we're bombarded with messages, I'm really sensitive to marketing messages, because being in the industry and realizing what's fake, what's not fake, what is truth and what's not truth, and poking, like I said, at that, like, are you enough, are you enough, are you enough? How do you remind your children that they have the power within themselves to be everything that they want to be, that they are whole in who they are? I try to do that a lot with example. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but having a teenage daughter right now specifically, I feel like I'm even more aware of how I'm acting, who I'm with, how I participate in the world, and showing her that it's all far more magical than we recognize.
Yeah, they're growing up in such an interesting time too. Everything is so different from when we grew up. Like my daughter showed me this account from her middle school where if you get shipped with people, which I've never heard of. You heard of that? It's like
Mm-mm.
being in a relationship. So it's basically people like posting pictures, not mean per se, but if you spend lot of time with a person, you might end up on this account with a picture of the two of you, just
Hmm.
hanging out. I mean, it's nothing dirty, but it's just like a different. No one was walking around taking pictures of me in middle school, you know. And she's trying to figure out like who took this picture, who sat there. It's a little bit like a modern like Bridgerton.
Uh-uh.
Watch that show.
Yes,
We're
there
trying to
you
figure
go.
out like who has this account and who took this picture. Like where was I? Like I was in that classroom obviously because I'm in this picture. Who was there? It's so
Right.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a different component. And, going to the conversation of codependency, I also try to not fix it for her, but
Mhm.
instead like trust her and her ancestors to be able to kind of boister her up. But it is hard. She's definitely coming into the point where she's like, can you curl my hair? Oh, I have this pimple. Like she was wanting to wear masks longer than really needed. And then I finally realized because she slipped one day, she's like, I have a pimple and I don't want people to see it. And that broke me a little bit, realizing like, oh, wow, okay, that feels like an inadequacy for you. And then being able to, luckily being in skincare, explain to her that she has these hormonal changes that are happening. As long as she's supporting her system, it's going to go through this process, but it's going to go in a lot more beautiful fashion, a lot more efficient. That she could add a little bit more of the live probiotic serum to that one spot and it will heal a little bit faster because all the good guys are bouncing in and pushing the bad bacteria out.
Mhm. Well, that is so
But
interesting because my daughter was telling me about that too, that the people, with the masks, that the people that are still wearing them, she thinks are doing that because there's something that they are not 100% comfortable with. So it kind of became like an actual mask, to wear, protecting them from more than just, a virus or,
yeah,
bacteria.
yeah, it was just a real eye opener for me and recognizing like, oh, she's at that stage of awareness too.
Yeah.
Um, and realizing that any transformation of significance and long-term sustainability needs a little bit of grit and a little bit of inhale, exhale, retraction, expansion, and not stealing that from her because it makes me uncomfortable or I see her uncomfortable and I want to show my love
Mm.
by eliminating
Yeah.
that. It's definitely a conscious effort that I think that especially as busy parents too, we forget that it's not our journey.
Mm. Yeah, that's so interesting. Completely different but where are you on your like plant-based journey when it comes to food?
It's a good question. I dabble. I want to be vegan so bad. I really do. I'm probably more vegetarian than anything. And the thing that there's a couple components that I'm currently struggling with on my journey of it. I have a husband that is beating potatoes all the time, and he is the typical cook in our house. So there's that component. I also have some physical ailments that have happened where, I went to an Oriental medicine doctor not too long ago for all these random things, including this awesome white eyebrow that just showed up this year.
Yeah. So
And well, she's like, oh, it's part of an autoimmune disease. And I'm like, okay, well, let's figure this one out. What's going on here? What herbs and what plant-based medicine can I come up with now? And it was a real shock and awe because she took my blood work and then she came back and she's like, what comes back to your gut, Shelb? Like, your gut is dying. You don't have enough enzymes in there to be able to digest all of these things. And it's like that, then knowing that you have, where you're like, I know that I need to be eating plant-based 100% all the time. I feel better. I look better. I emotionally am better. And this was that one thing that your body can't lie. Like it loves you unconditionally, but that also means it can't lie to you. And getting that message of, hey, if you keep eating the way you're eating, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to be harder for you to digest food, harder for you to digest your emotions. You know, in Ayurvedic medicine, there is 2 times of the day that your body digests. So from 10 until 2 and during the day, that's when your body digests food. Now, if you eat too late and you go to bed from 10 to 2 at night, that's when you're supposed to digest your emotions and like your day. But for somebody like me that doesn't have the right enzyme ratio in my stomach, I'm still digesting food. And obviously meats take a whole lot longer to digest. And so then I've tested it where I've gone vegetarian for, weeks at a time. And then I do that codependent thing of like, okay, well, I don't want to make it a big deal. Like I'm in a situation, well, I don't want to make it a big deal. And then I eat meat. And then like I get emotional thinking about it. And then I feel terrible. It's almost as if like the same thing, like when you drink alcohol, right? You're like, hey, it was great. And then you have multiple days where you're like trying to get back over it. Your body's kind of freaking out after it. Same thing that I'm finding for myself. So yeah, that's where I am in my journey. I'm getting there, but trying to realize that I can't push it on him either is a difficult thing. That kind of goes back to what we were saying about, our children, is that realizing it's not my journey, but I want to force it on his journey too. Like, hey, this is going to be so much better for us. Long term, we're going to feel so much better. But yeah, and then like the one weird tip that has actually really worked that my doctor mentioned to me, and she's like, you need to be chewing each bite at least 30 times.
Can you say that again?
You're supposed to chew your food, like each bite of food 30 times. And she was like, challenge your husband to that. And then you eat fruits, vegetables, and meat. See what actually tastes good after 30 times of chewing. So I've tested that theory. And I will tell you, fruits and vegetables by far taste better after 30 chews than any sort of meat. Yeah, kind of gross to think about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because for me, it's like the energetic exchange on top of just the health components, on top of loving animals, on top of wanting to be more environmentally friendly. The component of my body is not lying. I've known it for years. I've been struggling for years, but now my body is saying like, no more. We got to do something better here. This isn't going to work for me.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting to that age where our body's like, okay, I worked really hard. Now we kind of need to become friends. Like, can we just be on the same team?
Yes. And that's why I signed up for yoga immersion, the yoga teacher training I've been doing. I was turning 40, realizing like my body has been a vessel for children. It's been a comfort for so many other people. I've been going. It's like, wait a second, like, how do I get connected back to this again? And finding out about the fact that we're so much bacteria and we're so much human cells, and recognizing the power of this vessel that we're in, it just made me think like, I need to be friends with this thing again, instead of poking and being like, well, I'm not a size 6 like I used to be. I'm not this, I'm not that. It's like, yeah, but what about loving this stage that you're in right now? And I'm actually really inspired. There's a whole movement in skincare and beauty called slow skincare, slow beauty. And the whole point of it is honoring where you are at in your life right now. And then supporting the journey as it goes. And that's one thing that really excites me about live probiotic skincare, is that it's all we're doing. It's taking the time to have the ritual with yourself, a simple moment of ceremony throughout the day, because we're so busy, but taking 5 minutes at night to wash your face, put the live probiotic serum on, sleep, wake up the next morning, rinse your face, really look at yourself in the mirror, and then put moisturizer on, knowing that you're doing it for you and nobody else. I want that, more of that relationship. And that's what this slow component is about. It's about slowing down, minimalism, minimizing consumption, thinking about how rich our products are, You know, does it have these filler, scary ingredients that we were talking about earlier? Or, you know, is there things in it that actually feed and support the systems that are already created in place?
Mm. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. And just being like mindfully putting the lotion on too, just like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
feeling the touch and feeling that moment and just
Mhm.
being with yourself. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, how often do we really look at ourselves in the mirror? Like really look without criticism?
Right.
That hard? So hard.
That last part, yeah. Because I often look at myself in the mirror and it's not like, oh, I love you. You look pretty
It's not like,
today.
this is good today. Yeah, no, not at all. And that's the thing when, you know, we've been taught to buy skincare products and buy makeup based on skin concerns or issues that we don't like about ourselves. Where with live probiotic skincare, you're doing something where you're supporting what already exists. You're doing something that is already there, that you know you're just amplifying your own natural beauty. And that's a huge message for ourselves, but also a huge message for the children that are around us and the people, you know, the girlfriends we hang out with. But instead of, oh, I'm putting on this vitamin C because I need this, or I'm putting on retinol because I see that, or, you know, oh, I need to put under eye cream on because I have dark circles, instead of being like, oh, okay, I'm putting these probiotics on my face to support this natural skin flora that I have, so that I can be the beautiful version of myself.
Mm.
It's a much different message on a daily basis than, you know, wrinkles. And I mean, wrinkles happen.
Yeah, and I love how this can all work together too, because I'm thinking back to just what we were talking about with pimples. Like after we quit dairy, like we don't really get pimples anymore. And it's so if you can just come from both what you like eat and what is helping from all sides of like I love that.
Yeah, it's supporting the systems that are already in place.
Yeah.
I mean, if the system's not broken, why are we trying to fix it? We should just be supporting what's already there.
Yeah. How about that? Be our own coach, be our own mother, be our own just lover. You know? Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Being your own mother, that is definitely a statement I don't think that we think about enough.
Yeah, just
We
keeping
mother
ourselves in.
constantly.
Yeah, just like you got this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I could talk to you all day.
I'm in. When and where, you let me know. We'll make that happen.
Oh, this is so beautiful. So how can people find you and these amazing products that you talk about?
Well, I highly suggest going to our website, LaFlore, LAFLORE.com. That's our women's line. And then we have live-ps.com, and that's our teen line. And for the men in your lives, that's the brand to buy for them as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to link it below as well.
Yes, please. Well, and I'm also always open for conversation. I do manage our social media. So if anybody ever has questions, feel free to go to LaFlore Skincare on Instagram and reach out, and I'm happy to chat.
That's wonderful. Yay. Oh,
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making my day. You're amazing.
I know.